Hey, we are live for this impromptu late night live stream, and today I will be just, working on my oil painting, which is over an airbrush painting. You can see still some remnants of some airbrush here, but basically it's covered with the oil paints. The oil paints I'm using are a variety of brands such as Winsor & Newton, Utrecht, Williamsburg. I use M. Graham, uh, Sennelier, some Rembrandt, but for the most part, some Michael Harding. But for the most part, I would say it's between Utrecht and Winsor & Newton are my main brands that I use. They're pretty reliable. They're not the most expensive, but they're professional quality. So that's pretty much why I do that. So let's just jump right into it. There's nobody here yet, but it's going to be recorded, so it's going to help you. Someone out there, it's going to help. So that's why I'm doing it. So that is really cool. So let's see. I am going to come over here. So I have this new color mixing technique. It's a system. And it's really great because it allows me to actually find the color really quickly. So what I want to do is I want to find the color of her eye, but not just the eye, the white of the eye on the shadow side and also the dark side of the eye. So I want to find that color. I don't want to just trust my own eye with this. I really want to find out exactly what it is. So, using my color method, I will begin having a online course that will help you to mix colors within a minute, any color that is. So, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look for the lighter color and then we'll darken it from there. So, first thing I'm going to do is isolate it. And of course you can't see this, otherwise the online course would not sell anybody. So I'm just going to talk about it and just show you how fast I can mix the colors. So right now I'm going to find a color, and I have that color isolated, and then I'm actually going to make sure that that's the color I'm looking for, because a lot of times, nope, that is exactly the color we're looking for. So now I'm going to identify that color, the elements of that color I should say. Okay, so once again, let me just double check. Okay, and I'm going to isolate the elements and then a percentage, and we should have that color pretty quickly. So now that I have those two, I'll work on a percentage, and to me it looks like it is mostly a gray with a little bit of some blue in it, actually a little bit of some orange in it. So I'm just going to find that color. And sometimes you may have to go a little bit darker, but you can be the judge of that. And then you just check the chroma, make sure that you're not too saturated, right? That's important. And let's get a clean brush. Clean brush is really important here. So I'm going to have a nice clean brush, and we're going to test this color out. I'm going to get my eyeglasses on because that's crucial. And let's zoom in with the magic of the DSLR. Let's see. Okay, let's see where that is. Where am I here on this program? Bear with me. Okay. Sometimes the actual program gets hidden with the other programs, and I just have to locate it. Where is it? Okay, so we're just going to keep with the one view then. Okay. Alright, so let's go ahead and load this here. And you can see it looks pretty dark for the white of the eye. But it's pretty accurate because I'm not trusting my eye. And I'm going to get a tighter brush because that is a little bit too big for what I want to do here. And you got to be careful because you don't want to hit the dark color, right? That would not be good. Okay. Hey Brad, how's it going, my friend? Good to see you. Yes, I was painting anyway, and I thought, you know what, maybe I could inspire someone else to paint. I was watching Bob Ross, and he inspired people to paint, so why don't I take my turn? So you see, that's a very dark color right there, and I'm going to zoom in one more time. And now once I have that, then I can actually zoom in further. Let's see. Now I want to darken it, so I have to find the actual darker color, which is on the corner of the eye because the eye is turning away from the light, right? So I'm going to isolate that color, and of course it is darker than what I just painted. And I am going to test it, and exactly, so it is darker, and the elements seem to be a little bit different. So alright, so now we'll go and look for, okay, so it's pretty dark, and it has interesting color in there, so we're going to grab it. But it's mostly a pretty dark color here. Okay, now what I'm going to do is come up here, there we go, and then just ever so lightly darken the corner here. Now it could be on the edge here as far as where this window for this program went. Okay, I'm going to continue because I can't do this until I find out where this program is. The window actually disappeared. Let me see. Bear with me. This is weird because it's not showing up anywhere. Has anyone ever had that happen where all of a sudden you can't find a window that's open? It's just nowhere to be found. Hit Tab. I'll hit Alt. You know, when in doubt, hit Alt and Tab. Hit Windows. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of struggle along here. I mean, it is an impromptu one. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so let me just zoom out here. Hopefully that will work, and then we'll just look at it from a little bit further away than normal. Let's see if that works. The only way I could actually find it would be to close it, but that would close out the live stream, so I'm not going to do that. And let's see, hit this button again, it should go back to normal size. Huh. Well, if something's going to go wrong like this, it better go wrong on a 1:30 live stream in the morning, so that's cool. See what kind of delay. I'm just going to move my hand. There's some sort of delay here. I'm going to see when my hand goes over the picture. So now the delay is at least 30 seconds. Nope, it's just not. Let me try this. Turn off my camera. Turn my camera back on. And we'll see. Nope. Okay. Yeah, this live stream is frozen, so I don't know what's going on. I'm going to leave and come back. I'm going to just start one again. If someone catches it, that's cool. If not, because it's not really doing anything. It's not moving. Okay. I see something just happened. There we go. Okay. But it is like really delayed. I mean, that's a long time. That's like a half hour. And so yeah, there's a super long delay on here. I think either it's me or it's but so right now I cannot see what I'm doing, and that's weird, right? Okay, so I'm just going to paint. I know you can see it, I just can't zoom in, so we'll just do it that way. Alright, here we go. Low Tech Night. So I have this darker color, and I know I have to bring it down, the negative space of the white of the eye, which is far from white over there, mind you. And then I'm going to get another detail brush here. These are great detail brushes from Hobby Lobby, really inexpensive, disposable. And I can just kind of zoom this in. I mean, not zoom it in, but kind of blend this in here. There we go. Now, I do have the darker color over here, and what I'm going to do now is kind of use that to kind of blend in the darker color here. Start modeling the forms, making them more three-dimensional. And that's important to model the forms. Okay, so now we have this slightly darker area over here, so we'll start modeling into the lighter part. Go just ever slowly. Let me fix the focus real quick. So we'll focus it. And then there we go. So now we're back in focus. And what you want to do is you want to concentrate on making things round. Because at this stage, now it's time to make things round. And I'm going to look for this kind of transition tone here. So I'm going to mix that color. And it's pretty dark. let me see if I can lighten it up a little bit, my target color. Okay, this is more like it. Okay. I'm going to make sure I have this color mixed. Okay. Okay, so I'm really happy with the color. Now we're just going to apply it. Okay, and so things go from light to dark, from top to bottom and left to right. So that's what I'm doing. Oh, cool. Thanks, Brad. Appreciate it, sir. So right now the whole world is on her eye socket and giving it that kind of attention. Right over here. And we wanted to make sure that we're following the whole area of the eye socket. Taking our time, just making things round as possible, meaning that it's turning away from the light and towards the light. And now I can move in with the darker color, make sure that the edges are fine. Making sure things aren't too light, too much contrast. You want to make sure you're not making too much contrast, because too much contrast is really bad. So you want to always make sure that you're compressing the values. Too much contrast, your work's going to look cartoony and unnatural. We're not after photorealistic, we're after natural. Okay, that's a little too over the top. Here we can come back in with this nice mid-tone color and kind of even it out. We don't want to be cowboys. Okay, so now we're going to target the light here, and so let's find that light color. And you know, you'll be surprised in skin color, a lot of the colors are very much related to one another. Okay, so I do see what's happening here and how to mix this. It'll just be one moment. So, okay. Okay, so interesting. So my paint this is the third day using this paint, so it's getting a little stringy. I just use a little more of the medium when that happens. But this is the last day. Most of it I'm going to throw away. And then tomorrow start with some new paint. Okay, so. It's really interesting, this color of her flesh. Because it's not what you think it is when you mix it. It's very interesting. Let's see what we have here. Use a little bit of my medium. And we're going to test it out. Always test it out. It's not the color that you would think it is. I mean, it's much darker. it's nice when you get to the point like this where you've done the blocking in, and now you could really get in there and start getting some nice tight detail. That's always a lot of fun. But with this method of color theory and the way to mix colors, I'm not really totally worried about whether it's the color. It is the color. In oil paintings you have to do several layers, so even though it doesn't look like the right color, if you have oil painted out there, it takes several layers before you get the surface texture that is going to be, you know, workable for you. So I'm going to go back to my mid-tone here, and we're going to kind of go back and forth. So when you're in the shadow side, your light is going to be like a shadow on the light side, and your mid-tone is going to be like the dark on the light side. So you have to make sure, and with my way of mixing colors, that you are going to be able to identify the value shifts from the light side to the dark side of the face. Even though it's similar features, it's going to be much darker on this side. Everything's going to be darker on this side. Let's get that mid-tone here. There we go. And now we can come back in with this beautiful light. If I told you how I mix this color, you would be totally surprised. But that's why the online course is coming out, because it's going to teach anyone and anyone how to mix any color, and also get your mind out of it, meaning you're going to see the color for what it is, because this system is going to help you find that color. And how long is it going to take? Inside 2 minutes. So get ready to have your mind blown. I believe in this, and that's why I'm doing this demonstration. It's not just for airbrush artists, but it's for oil painters, it's for pastel painters. It's really some wild stuff. And it's a little deeper right here in the corner of her eye. But let's come back with this mid-tone, this beautiful mid-tone color. I think this is the mid-tone color. And we have more of this mid-tone color coming here. So initially in the in the blocking in, I was a little overzealous. So we'll just fix this a little bit. And now I need the transition tone from here to here. So I'm just going to... So you're doing it with my mixing technique, but you're also using your brain to go ahead and figure out what the transition tones are. So yes, it's going to help you to mix the colors, but also I want you to do a lot of critical thinking as well. I mean, the technique of mixing colors is so good, I have to tell myself to stay in the game and, make sure that I leave a little bit for intuition. So now I'm just doing that transition tone right there. Maybe we'll go a little bit lighter. Okay. Now let's say you don't like an area. You're like, I didn't like that too much. You can just wipe that clean. Those are things that you learn from oil painting in different mediums. You don't always have to stick with everything. Okay, so let's work on her eyebrow a little bit. Go. So I'm liking the turning of the forms, meaning as it turns away from the light, it gets darker, and as it turns towards the light, consequently, gets lighter. Okay, so over here, we kind of have an echo of this color coming down here. So I already have it mixed in over here. So now I'm just going to come in and we'll see if we can kind of scumble this in. Now this is a dry area, so you can scumble if you want. And then we can just kind of take a rag, make sure there's no paint on there, because we don't want to reposition paint. See how I was able to just lightly scumble that? Pretty cool technique. A lot of really good techniques in oils. Now I can get a little bit darker over here. We'll test it out. We'll scumble this a little bit here. It's different in glazing, because glazing you would glaze the whole area, you know, just darken the whole area. But I'm kind of, you know, playing with scumbling here and seeing how that works. Now I won't scumble the hairline because the hairline is still wet. I painted that earlier this evening. Just kind of bringing that dark over. Over here, let's see if we can scumble right here. Even though it's along the hairline, it's important that I at least establish it. So I'm going to do a little bit of alla prima here. And come in with the dark. Just a nice back and forth. Oil painting is very relaxing. Well, at least for me, since I've been painting in oil painting, been doing oil painting since I was 14 years old. my first oil paintings I did with the Walter Foster books. I don't know if you guys remember them. Let's clean this up. Liking that area a lot. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Now it's a little bit darker right in here, so let's see if we could just kind of make it a little darker in the corner by her nose. Great. Okay, so liking that. Now let's see, we're going to do something different. We're going to start to put a little more weight in the lights here. So I'm going to establish a light and I'm going to mix it. And before I do, I'm going to make sure that's the color I'm looking for. Sure is. Okay, so how do we mix this? Okay, nothing too out of the ordinary so far. Okay. Alright, so I see what I have to do, and we're going to get a new brush for this because this is definitely a pristine color. Bigger the brush, the better. So I'm going to search for a bigger brush. This isn't too bad. Let's see this. Alright, so now we got to mix that color. Let me get my palette knife. I like mixing with the palette knife. So, first thing is identify what we have. And let's take a look. That looks pretty good. Just making sure. Okay, I think we're in good shape. So I did mix it. Now we're going to put some of our Gamblin gel in there. Here goes nothing. Alright, so we want to lighten up this area here. And I'm just going to ever so lightly. I want it to be thin, so I'm going to add more gel. Let's see. Whoa. With oils, you got to be careful. I had some on my wrist and I got it on my painting, but luckily it didn't hurt it. Okay, so let's ever so lightly, I'm going to even dry brush this a little bit. And I'm just establishing the whites, or the lights, the lightest lights here. And I'll come in with the next color and kind of blend that in. Assimilate, not really blend. And you see I'm kind of dry brushing this. That's the beauty of oils, is that it's just anything goes. You have such a wide range of techniques that you can do. It's really incredible. So the surface is pretty dry, so I can kind of do a dry brush right now. Okay, my friend, have a great night, Brad. Thanks so much for hanging out. Talk to you soon. Have a great weekend, sir. Thanks so much, Brad. You too. But it's wonderful how you can just bring in all different techniques. Remember, I started this with an airbrush underpainting, and now I'm oil painting, but I'm actually using a incredible dry brush technique, which is really working very well. And just like in digital art or anything, the lighter the pressure, the lighter the application is. A lot of fun. So you airbrush artists out there, you want to have fun, do some of this. It'll open up a whole different side of your art. And it'll make your airbrush painting better by seeing things differently. Hey, Mr. Air Todd, all the way from San Diego. How are you, sir? So glad you're here. So we're just having fun with oil painting, and I figured, why don't I share it with my friends out there? And I'm using this new color matching technique, which is really great. Doing okay, my friend. Thanks for asking. How's life out in San Diego? And you see, like, now coming in with the lighter color, we're getting some of the vibrancy that was lost in the early stage. That's only because it was the early stage. Ah, glad to hear it, my friend. And it's all blocking in, you know. You can always do multiple layers, you know. You don't have to worry about getting a layer perfect. You just do another layer. And that's it, you know. Just do it, you know. Just paint. Just have fun, you know. Paint like you don't have all the time in the world in this earth. Paint like, you know, every day is important to make your mark. And that's what it is. You want to make your mark today, not tomorrow. I do have some coffee, my friend. Thanks for reminding me. I did fall asleep around 6 o'clock, and that kind of messed up my sleep schedule, but that's okay. So I'm testing out the color mixing theory, right? And of course I did it, and I have been doing it with my my technique of airbrush, and now I'm doing it with oil painting. So just showing myself that this works not just for airbrush artists, this color theory, but it works for all artists. But the beauty of oils is that you have so many different techniques that you can employ, which is really cool. I'm just going to dry brush this light here. So when your oil paintings dry, you have so much, because if you're working wet on wet, you're pretty limited. You can't do much. But if you let a layer dry, you can scumble like I did over here, over here. You can glaze by just doing a film of color to keep the detail but change the color, maybe tint it or make a shade of it. You know, you can do that using a transparent color. So very, very cool stuff. Now I'm going to do right here, which is her mental fat compartment right here. We're just going to dry brush this. And this is where the whole thing about doing a portrait, why it starts looking like them, is because you're getting the big shapes, the anatomy, the underlying anatomy. You're getting the values correct. And then when things fall into place, that's when you worry what it looks. In this stage, you don't worry about whether it looks like her yet. But as she develops, then it does. Oh, thank you. So that's great. Mr. Todd is interested in the color theory. That's great. I think it's going to change the way that a lot of people paint and what they paint. They won't be afraid of certain things, like some people are afraid to paint water or glass or steam. With my color theory, you would be able to hit those colors right on the nose. Let's finish this up over here. Now, one of the beauties of oil painting is that it dries really slow. So you have plenty of time to blend it, or even if it does dry after 36 hours, go right back in and paint right over it. Unlimited layers. And there's no such thing as blue shift in oil painting. And sometimes you just want to paint and, you know, paint like the old masters. Oil painting is one of the most classical mediums out there. I think the first oil paintings, I think, came out around 1400s, if I'm not mistaken. Late 1400s, with artists like Titian and Bernini. Bring this down just a little bit. So I have it all mapped out as far as when the color theory is written. I'm just getting all the PDFs and the material to help people, students, mix the colors. So I say within a week or two, hopefully next Friday. And there'll be a special coupon for people like yourself, friends of the channel. You guys will get a special coupon. So just for you guys, not for everybody. So you can see right here that, you know, you have the shape of her skull, and knowing the anatomy, we have to indicate this. Just indicate it. Then you can take a clean rag, which is cool, and I'll get one. You can wipe this. You can't escape the anatomy. So if you want to do a painting that's going to look incredible, we're going to have to learn anatomy. No way around it. Oh, you got a new email. Okay, sir. Go ahead and either instant message me or email me, my friend. Okay, so now I'm pretty happy with the way she's looking, but I want to get some of the surrounding areas, so I want to blend this in. So I'm going to do a similar dry brush technique right over here. So I'm going to find this kind of next color right over here, and let me go ahead and mix this color. Okay, a little bit darker, not by much. Okay, a little bit more orange. Okay. All right, let me get my palette knife and we'll mix this color. Okay, so I have this color here, and I'm just going to make it slightly darker, not by much. Like I said, I have a little sticky paint here because it's the third day and I don't have anything covering it, so I'm looking for a solution to cover my paints. Maybe a smaller palette I can fit in the freezer. That looks really good. Let me just double check next to my painting. That looks really good. Maybe it's a little bit on the dark side, so I'm just going to mix some of the lighter color with it, so I have a pretty good idea. So I'm going to take my light color paintbrush, wipe it, and let's see what this does. It should theoretically just be this darker color. Let's see. Okay, that's a little dark, so I think a little light, I should say. So I'm just going to darken it up a tad. Let's see how this goes. I'm going to dry brush this. I think it needs a little more element of the orange. Dry brush. Get rid of the light color. Okay, that looks pretty good. It's nice and light. So I'm just going to use it as a kind of transition between the light and this mid-tone here, kind of evening that out. It's significantly more darker than I thought it would be. And that's the great thing about this color mixing. It gets your mind out of it. It's so interesting, uh, Todd, how this will make you really see colors for what they are and not for what you think they are. You ever look at a color and you're like, I have no idea how to mix that. But now with this you will. And that makes me happy because this will transform how you use color. Because as you can see now, look how fast I'm going through this. And my colors are not looking garish, right? They're not looking too strong. They're nice and soft, like a Bouguereau painting, a 19th century French academic painting. And that's the goal for me. See how that just beautiful the way it's. Oh, exactly, Todd. So you know the feeling, definitely. Well, this will really help you. Plus, anyone who buys the course, there's going to be a Facebook group just for people who have the course. And, you know, I would give tips and tricks on that, and other members could share their thoughts and things like that, which is really great. Here, just kind of blend that out. See, before it looked harsh, but by putting the color right next to it, she really softens up. Oh, so the price is not disclosed yet, but it's going to be still not sure, so I don't have it, but as soon as I do, I'll let you know. Still going over a lot of variables. But you would definitely have a coupon on this that would lower it substantially. Because I really think this is a course that will change how people paint. And that's exciting to me. And that's cool. So it's all to me, I really want it to be something that, like I said, will transform the way that you paint. That, you know, it's getting the right color is no longer for just somebody who has been painting for many years. This is going to lift the veil of that. And that's something that I'm super, super excited about. Oh, why don't we go ahead and do something fun? Let's go ahead and mix the highlight on her eye there, because that would be fun. So, turquoise. What do you think of turquoise? You ever use turquoise? With my painting method, it will lift turquoise into your colors, because you're going to see that some colors have turquoise. And to me, that's really super cool. So, I'm going to isolate the color. It's a beautiful kind of color. And we'll get the main color. Alright, here goes nothing. Alright, so here's our color, our main color. Just very interesting. All right, now let me get a clean brush, or just clean this off a little bit here. I'm going to load it because we want to really make it stand out. Not too much, so it, look at that. So with this, you can see how the highlight is not too strong, you know, but next to the other colors, it's super strong and it works without being unrealistic. And seeing that, I can notice that we can put this color right there, give some form to her beautiful eyes. Let's hit this one, and then again we see that there's the eye is a rounded sphere, so as it turns towards the light it's going to get lighter, and we're just indicating that right now. And you could, you know, add thicker paint to give your color more impact, because it's going to reflect the light even more the thicker it is. So one of the beauties of working in oil paint is that you have the ability to do impasto, which is a paste. You can paint in a paste, which is really great and really a lot of fun. Okay, so we're gonna leave this off to the side, and let's see. So we have the light and this color right here, which is very similar to that, maybe just a little more rich. Let me see. No, we're going to go ahead and use that same color. This color, maybe make it a little more darker. And I have a way to make it just a little more darker and keeping the same saturation, which is cool. Let's test this out here. That may be a little bit darker. Let's lighten that up a tad. There, that seems good. And let's give a little more color. And I may glaze this later, you know, add some more rich, some rich reds to this later. And that's some of the beauty that we have with working in oils. I can come back with this color here and kind of dry brush this right along here. And really make this wonderful transition. And then right here, this is the malar fat compartment. So this is a fat that we all have on our face. It's also called the cheek fat. Okay, so I have this lighter kind of mid-tone color. Let's bring this into the under eyelid here. A lot of fun. You know, it's a lot of fun developing a painting this way. And you want to make sure she's a young woman. You want to make sure that we're not making her values too contrasty, because that would make her look more severe. And we don't want that. She doesn't want that. I have this little baby fan brush. Just want to make sure and I'm not making her lower eyelid too big. So my favorite painter, Jean-Auguste Dominique Ingres said, better gray than too saturated. So remember that. You don't want to make the colors too rich, because it's not a good look. Let's go in here with this color and kind of do a little bit of a dry brush here. So sometime in 2024 I'll be doing workshops for oil painting, and that's open to airbrush artists. So because I use a lot of techniques that airbrush artists know, and this would be very much a really cool, enriching learning experience for any airbrush artist, or any artist for that matter, to learn how to do portraits like this. And you can make real money with portraits, because airbrush paintings are worth more than any other medium. Do I agree with it? Not necessarily, but that's just the way. If you're selling an airbrush painting and then right next to it you're selling the same size, same subject matter, and it's oils, you can probably charge a good 20 to 30% more. Let's see how dark this is. Okay, so that could work. So I'm going to work on her nostril here. Not sure what happened, but that's an easy fix. And I think I'm just going to paint to 230. I just wanted to show you all how cool this color theory is. So this is a little harsh. I want to come in with the mid-tone next to it. So I'm going to grab that mid-tone, pretty dark, and always with this technique you just mix the color, you know, you don't have to guess. So you just mix the color. Even if you know the color, just go to the system, mix the color, and it's so liberating. Okay, so I see the color. Let me get my palette knife. The only thing is you use a lot of brushes because you're mixing your colors. You're not just, you know, blending them in, or you're not just blending in colors. So you'll mix the transition color next to the other color, and then you get these really beautiful adjacent tones to one another. Let's take a look. This may be the color. See, that's the thing. You have to take your mind out of the game, because our minds play tricks on us. So I'm going to look for the right brush. Let me clean this one. This is a dark, so it already has dark paint in it. This one has, I use a lot of dark. Let me get another brush. I like this one. So what I do is, lately I haven't been washing them. I just keep them in safflower oil, and they stay, well, you don't have to wash the brushes when you work in oils. Okay, so let's see what this does. I'll do a little bit of a dry brush technique. So that's a little dark. Okay. Getting the right variation here. Okay, there we go. That's what I like to see. Really nice transition. See that? Oh, so Drew's Classroom in the Box. Drew's color theory is really excellent, and so I have good things. I always heard good things about Drew. Drew's a genius. He's like, I think he is definitely the best airbrush artist ever. I think if you watch it a couple of times, I think it would really come together for you. Yeah, that's it. Rewatch it, maybe take notes, and just to kind of get what he's saying. I know, he so many artists are using his color theory, and it's really great. My color theory is different than his, and it's definitely not better, but it's different. And that's how I look at it. Like I said, I admire him so much, and he is the godfather of airbrush. Just incredible painter. Just a different style. This is a new way. So my way right now is a new way. And for me, I feel it could help artists at any level, which is wild. But, I really like the fact that, like I've been teaching my students it, you know, and, I have a control group and they've been learning it and it works. And it works for artists at all levels, not just, artists who, have been painting for a lot of years, artists who basically haven't worked in color before. This will really help. And you can use this technique for black and white too, which is really great. So definitely something that's very different out there, my own style of teaching, and definitely a different way to get to the color. So I make a bold statement that you can see how fast I've been getting to the colors, right? Just watching it, how quickly I've been mixing those colors. Very fast. Now, let's say you have like you made a mistake, and you can just wipe it off, which is cool. It's about adding white. Sometimes, right? Sometimes adding white is good, um, but you're going to be surprised. You're along the right way, you have the right instincts, but when you do this, this is going to really blow your mind. Because when I first started this, and I was like, no, this can't be this easy. That's how I thought. I was like, this can't be this easy. And then when I started perfecting it, I'm like, no way. It might take, maybe a... But as far as like my students who have been doing it, I mean, they were pretty much handling their business within the first day. Like mixing any color. See these little subtle changes that we make right here, which is really great. So that's about it for now. As you can see, I have been able to work on her portrait, get the colors, the skin tones, being pretty happy with it, working with the lights. And so that's going to be it for now, Mr. Todd. Always a pleasure to see you, and I hope you're doing well. Are you working this weekend? If you are, don't work too hard. And send me your new email so I can get that coupon out to you when it launches, I believe next Friday. That's the target, but we'll see, God willing. Right, sir? So, Mr. Todd, have a great night. Thank you so much for everything and hanging out, and I will talk to you soon, my friend. Take care.